Welcome to the Young Money Podcast with Ross Marais.
Hi and welcome to Young Money. I'm your host, Ross Marais, and this episode is brought to you by More Time Financial, a financial planning, money management and financial education business who are on a mission to help young Australians make smarter decisions with their money, servicing clients all around Australia and overseas. For more information about More Time Financial, head to their website, moretimefinancial.com.au, and follow them on all your social channels to stay up to date with all the exciting things that the team at More Time Financial are doing. This episode, I have a really special guest and a friend of mine, someone that I've been looking forward to chatting with. Her name is Philippa Meecha, and she is the founder and driving force of a company called ProjectBox. For the last 17 years, she's been helping businesses systematize and automate and identify and solve problems that are holding them back in business. She's incredibly passionate about helping others to reach their goals, and anything that she does, she puts her heart and soul into it, and she loves seeing things come to light and people's goals to be reached. So really looking forward to sharing this episode with you, and I'll kick things off with us having a chat with Philippa Meecha. Enjoy the show. Episode, I have with me a good friend and someone that I've been really excited to talk to on the show for some time. Thanks for joining us on the show, Pip.
Hi.
How's it going?
Good. How are you?
Good, thank you. Thanks for agreeing to be on Young Money.
Anytime.
So for people who don't know who you are now, but I'm sure they will sooner or later, how do you introduce yourself?
Okay, so I'm known as Pip by everybody. I run a business called ProjectBox. And I help tradies really sort of improve their business, get off the tools and sort of take that step back and really take control over what's going on and getting them to the point where they don't have to work in their business anymore. They can just sit back and let it go for gold.
So ProjectBox, how long has that been going for?
About 18 months now. So it's taken a bit of a twist and turn over the last 18 months. Started out as more of a virtual assistant business under my old banner, the Admin Hub, probably 2.5, 3 years ago. And then going through that, realized there was a bit of a missing service to people. You know, there's a lot of virtual assistants out there, and I'm kind of can do a lot more and have a lot more of a systemization background than what a lot of other people can. So ProjectBox was born to really help people systemize their businesses. And it came around kind of a little bit prematurely because it wasn't really a big thing back then. It was something people kind of knew about but didn't really know the whole point of it and what the idea behind it was. But then it turned into something bigger. And then from that, I discovered I had a love of coaching and helping other people and mentoring. So it's all kind of, combined into one big thing, but with a really strong focus on systemizing.
And you said mainly focusing with tradies or tradesmen?
Correct, yes.
And at any particular stage in their kind of business?
Yeah, sort of within their first 5 years. I have worked and dealt with a couple of people who are past that stage, but they generally are more talking about, what's a good example? They are more at the point where they are needing help with human resources and hiring and managing their employees, which is great because we can also help with that too. But ideally, my target market is working with guys, anywhere between they're 25, 35 years old who are either at the point where they're going from a sole trader to a company, or they're a sole trader, but they're just trying to grow it under that particular sole trader. They're not too worried about taking on other employees as yet. Yeah.
And how have you found it? Love it?
Love it. I love the coaching side. I love the helping side. Frustrating.
Yeah.
Yeah, really, it's really good actually. And just the feedback you get from talking to people and hearing them, tell you how much they've helped you or how easy things are actually when in their heads they're making it out to be such a big deal when you break it down, it's not. So it's really cool to be able to do that for other people. And what makes me smile makes me happy. So that's going to be a good thing.
Excellent. So before ProjectBox, we take a step back. What's your your background, obviously you've got the New Zealand accent, so I'm assuming
Yes.
grew up in New Zealand.
Yep. So I've been here to be 10 years in February. But yes, grew up in New Zealand, got my first job when I was 16 and have been in administration and office management roles pretty much ever since. So I've done a lot of different industries, which has been really good because it's given me a huge insight into the way different companies work, and different industries as well. You know, some are a lot more regulated and have a lot more controls and things you can and can't do. And then as an example, in New Zealand, just before I left, I was working for a meatworks, a national meatwork company, in the head office, so not doing any of the butchering stuff, doing all the importing, all the exporting of meat to various countries around the world. And then I moved over here, and my first job is working for a registered training organisation, helping international students enrol into education in Australia.
One extreme to the next.
Yeah, but it's good. You know, it challenges you, and something I learned a lot of with doing that. You know, when I first moved here, that job I had 1 day training and walked into a role where there was just no instructions on how to do anything. So it was literally whatever I could take in on that first day was all I had to be able to do my role.
Yeah.
And that was kind of when things started to sink in, going, there's got to be a better way. People need to be better prepared for this.
Yeah.
You know, I'm lucky. I pick things up really quickly, and I do take on a lot in, you know, a day's training. But it took a good couple of weeks for things to really sink in and settle down as well.
Excellent. A jack of all trades.
Definitely a jack of all trades. Jill of all trades.
Jill of all trades.
Yeah.
So that transition, you went from obviously left school, immigrated to Australia, worked in various jobs. And then at what stage or when did you think about starting your own business, or what was that kind of light bulb moment?
Yeah, so I had a little girl 4 years ago. She was actually 4 on Friday, so definitely 4 years ago. But it was when I was looking at going back to work. I'd had this idea in my head for ages, you know, that my administration background and all of that kind of stuff was a lot stronger, and this isn't being pig-headed or whatever else. I'm just sort of a natural when it comes to that stuff. And
Sure.
I'd always wanted to do something about it, but I had no idea how to go about it or what it was that I can do. Because back then as well, you know, you didn't really hear of virtual assistants, and a lot of that stuff wasn't really spoken about. So it was talking to an old boss after I'd had my baby and I'd gone back to work part-time. And wasn't really working out because my daughter going to daycare was sick quite a lot. So starting a new job and taking time off for a sick daughter doesn't leave the best impression in the world.
Sure.
So like a lot of other mums, I mean, you know, there's got to be a better way. There's got to be a way that I can manage both of this. So the admin hub was born, and I started doing virtual assistant work and quit my part-time job and went solely into that. Yeah.
And how did you find that? Was it scary or is it exciting?
Incredibly scary, and talking about it to other people, they look at you like you're nuts. You know, you've gone from a stable income coming in every week to something that's completely unguaranteed. And because it's your own business, you put a lot more work into it. So I was actually working longer hours, but for about the same amount of pay.
Yeah.
But while doing that, I taught myself a lot of extra stuff. You know, I can now build websites and I can do all this kinds of crazy stuff, but I was never charging what I really should have because I was teaching myself as I went along. So it was, you know, me being too nice and taking the brunt of the cost of it and a lot of the hours myself. So yeah, it was a definite learning curve. Like I said, taught me a lot about just having my own business and my own customers, marketing, all of that kind of stuff. It was a huge lesson.
And did you have that in the back of your mind? Every job you went to, was it always a matter of, I think I can do it better? Or
yes. It's if it was me. So you're talking about it more from like doing it better from managing someone else's business, or doing
someone else's business, doing all the systematizing, everything that you are doing now in the admin hub. You obviously would have seen that in other people's businesses and thought there's a better way of doing all these things.
Yeah, definitely. So a lot of people, you'd walk in and, you know, it's very rare to find a job. You know, I had another one probably 18 months after I started the admin hub, I took on another part-time job, just because then I went from working 3 days a week to 5. So I was doing both the admin hub and a part-time job. So I had that regularity of income coming in as well. And walking in there and just, again, no systems, no instructions on anything, how to take it over. It was literally learning on the job and putting things into place. A perfect example is a task that used to take someone a whole day to do. I got it down to 2.5 hours just from putting in different systems and streamlining stuff and making the most of technology as well. So I find it very frustrating, but I'm very good at hiding that when I walk into a business, knowing that there are better ways of doing things. And that's what I'm known for now. Like, I'm known for going in and kind of, I don't have to see how someone's doing stuff for very long for my brain just to start ticking over, going, there's got to be a better way. And I will research it until I find it.
That's something you always had growing up? Were you always a systematized, kind of organized?
Very organized, yeah, definitely.
So run your calendar quite strictly?
Yes, my desk was always in very neat piles and different trays for different things. And yeah, definitely. Just don't ask me what my house looks like.
I'm sure other mothers can attribute to what a house would look like with a 4-year-old.
Yeah. So no, I think it's always been in me, and my dad is a really good mentor for me as well. He's run a lot of businesses growing up and has got into some really high roles, and the way that he's always run his team and managed the people that he's worked for, that's always had such a big impression on me as well. And I did a little bit of work for him growing up on school holidays and things like that. So that was a really good eye-opener. Even at 16, I would walk into his office and go, oh my God, there's got to be another way. It's been good and inspiring to kind of have that, to sort of really aspire to do the same kind of thing, but for my own business and my own goals and dreams.
And in terms of your education background, have you had any experience? Did you do any business courses, or did you do any sort of admin courses, anything like that?
So I didn't even graduate high school. I left in my final year to go and take on a full-time job.
Yeah.
Reason being is high school didn't have what I wanted to learn. I didn't want to know geography. I didn't want to know science. The things I was doing really well at was sociology, like that kind of stuff, but they only do 1 year of it. So after talking to my parents and stuff, I decided to leave, went and got a full-time job. And it wasn't until I actually moved to Australia that I got formal training. So I did recognition of prior learning for a Certificate 3 in Business Admin, which in all honesty would have been quicker for me to just do the course and get all the evidence together. Yeah. And then I've also done a couple of diplomas in management, franchising, business admin as well. Started a IT course and then realized it was actually quicker to teach myself than to go through and do all the units. Yeah. So a lot of it is self-taught through trial and error, especially on the technology side of things. And a lot of it's really just experience and taking kind of what I need from different people and having a real desire and drive to teach myself and to always be better. And
I'm sure that would be a similar story for a lot of people. The fact that they are good at something, but then the traditional, I'm sure it's exact same in New Zealand, the traditional education route says that you must finish grade 1 to 12, you must excel, then you must go to university to do another 3 or 4 years, and then you must get a good job. Yeah. So I think a lot of people are in that case where they're going to learn 10 times quicker if they just go out and do it like you did, jump into the real world. But
you know what? I think even if I went to university, I have no idea what I would have studied. Yeah. Like, to get on the path that I'm on now, there's nothing I really like. I've got nothing against university. It's great. And, if I'd gone, it probably would have been along the sociology, psychology lines. Yeah. But to get to where I am now, it's all really been life experience and working in these different businesses and different industries and with different management teams and, learning to deal with different kinds of people as well. So it's not something that you can really be taught at university.
Do you think that there is elements of that could be taught in school, or there could be a way of instilling that in people?
Definitely, which is why, and it's probably something we haven't really spoken about yet, but I'm looking at starting up my own mentoring program for high school students.
Right.
Just because since I've been here, I've had a couple of school-based trainees come under me through various jobs, and it's something that I really enjoyed and got a lot of pleasure out of. And, being able to kind of teach them some of these other skills that they're not really quite getting from school, and, they may or may not get from university as well. It's been really interesting, and it's something else that I discovered that I was passionate about. So that's one of my big end goals, is to have this whole other side to ProjectBox as well. Just a little bit different. But yeah, it all falls along the whole mentoring and helping people and the coaching stuff again. It's the same kind of stuff, just with a different age group. And I feel like, I've done a lot and seen a lot, in all my years. So it'd be really good to be able to kind of, help other high schoolers, whether they're at the point where they have their own business ideas and just need someone to kind of bounce things around, a bit of guidance, or whether it's really bringing people into the company and, sort of teaching them the things that I know and how an actual business works and that kind of stuff as well.
So just a few more things on your plate, just to keep you busy.
Why not?
Why not?
There's no point in being bored. Like, I know exactly what I want people to say about me at my funeral, and I know what I want to have accomplished, and I know, where I want to be in life. And to be able to do that, I'm not going to get there with just sitting on my backside all day doing a 9-to-5 job.
And where do you think that, I assume probably work ethic's probably the best way of putting it, but or that desire to kind of want more, where do you think that's come from? Was that your parents or? Yeah,
probably a lot from my parents as well. They both did really well, through their careers and stuff too. And like I said, my dad was always a high achiever. He also didn't go to university, got his first job when he was 16 and stayed there till his mid-50s. So, just slowly worked through everything. But, it's not, obviously there's a money aspect to it as well. Obviously want to have a certain kind of lifestyle, but what really drives me is just helping other people and seeing them succeed and knowing that I've been a part of helping them get there. That's really what I want out of life. So if I can do that, I'll be happy.
I like it. I think that having those goals in mind, like you clearly articulated what you want, and you've got this desire of what you want to achieve, and you're willing to obviously sacrifice things along the way to get there.
Yeah, I'm sacrificing a lot of time at the moment.
And I'm sure other business owners would attribute to that as well.
Yes, definitely.
I think it was a quote that someone said, entrepreneurs or business owners, they gave up working 40 hours so they can work 80.
Yeah, that's pretty much what it is. Yeah. But we do it now so that in 15, 20 years time, we can, have different things that we want to do. Obviously, I mentioned before, my daughter's 4, she starts school in just over a year's time. So it's really important to me to be able to be there for school drop off and school pickup. And that's sort of driving this massive push at the moment as well, is because that's my goal. I want to be there for that. Yeah.
I think, like, with your experience and your background, it must be a lot easier to relate to a lot of different situations. Obviously, you've immigrated to Australia, so there's appealing to immigrants that have come to Australia and understand that, even though obviously New Zealand to Australia is not as big as some other countries, but it's still different in a way, and still a challenge. And then
I came with a suitcase, and I now have a house full of crap again. So I've been there.
Yeah. And then obviously raising a daughter, there's that appeal, and then obviously all your experience in terms of different jobs. There's a lot of experience bundled up into someone quite young.
Yeah, so the education place was working with a lot of immigrants as well, so very, very multicultural. I spent 4 years working at an optometry practice, so the age bracket of people there.
Yeah.
Varied so much. So it really does, you learn to be compassionate and empathetic on so many different levels. But now it's at the point where I need to do it, but still run my business at the same time. So it's finding these boundaries of where helping too much, which is what we were talking about before, helping too much comes into play, and kind of drawing that line somewhere.
I think that I find that as well, especially in my business. I find that quite challenging, because I'm in the same boat. I want to help as much as possible, and you can see these people that need your help, and you can add so much value. But then there's that financial or the business aspect of it, where if you don't selfishly charge for your time, or if you don't charge for the work you do, then you can't help other people. And that's
Exactly.
personally one of the things that I've struggled with a lot is I want to help these people, but if they can't afford for me to help me in the business sense, then I'm not going to be able to help the next person.
No.
And it's taken me, I'd say, 2 years to kind of wrap my head around that I almost need to be a little bit selfish in order to be selfless at the end of it, I guess.
Yeah, definitely. 100% agree.
It's another one of those fun challenges of being a business owner.
Yeah, like I said before, it's that really fine line of just kind of making people feel like you are helping them to a point where they then go, well, actually, we really need your help, and then kind of bringing them on to that point where they're a proper client.
Yeah.
And then they get you on tap.
And how do you find that? Because you're offering a service or you're offering a product?
So a bit of both. So I have the way ProjectBox works is that we have like an online platform. So there are various modules on there where it teaches people different things, such as, systemising is a huge one, human resources, marketing, a bit more about technology, so different project management systems, all of that kind of stuff. And it really delves down deep into that. But then on top of that, they get me on tap. So any questions that they come across, any issues they're having in the workplace, any, things that they need, whether it's motivation or accountability or goal setting. Goal setting is actually one of the modules that we cover right at the start, because you speak to a lot of business owners and I say to them, what's your big goal? And they're like, oh, we just want to work and make some money. And I'm like, okay, long term. And then I put the same question to them. The question I got asked when I first hired a business coach 18 months ago was what I said before. What do you want people to say about you?
Yeah.
And you kind of start to work back from that, and you have these conversations with people, and a lot of them actually don't know where they want to go, and because of that, and because they don't have these set goals, they've got nothing to aim for. So they're kind of stuck on this mouse wheel and never-ending Groundhog Day, because they kind of don't know how to get out where they are. So the platform and having me on tap all kind of helps, and that's the way it really works. There's a Facebook group for people who belong to the program, so everyone can help each other out as well and ask as many questions as they need.
Yeah.
And then I'm available pretty much almost 24 hours a day. So just don't try me at midnight.
Yeah. You just might answer.
Just might answer. Yeah. Or not. I'm a good sleeper.
Yeah. I'm sure you are after working the many hours you do.
Yeah, so it's just, there's a lot of things you say to people and you ask them very basic questions, which especially, tradies should really know. And it's things like, what's your gross profit? What's your turnover? What are you aiming for next year? And they're like, and they just kind of go into this freeze mode and they don't know how to answer it, and they actually don't even know where to find the information to do that. So it's guiding them through that, and just, not telling them how to run their business, but it's just telling them how to do it better from a management and systems point of view.
Definitely.
Yeah.
Well, that's probably a good lead in or a good segue into the next line of questions, which was obviously we're on the Young Money show, so it's probably fitting that we talk about money. So a couple of tough questions that we like to ask all our guests.
Shoot.
Starting off with the first one, what does money mean to you?
Money is freedom to a certain point. So it can also be very restricting as well. So money money allows you, and for me, especially at the moment where I am at with my businesses and that kind of stuff, is money means growing my business faster as well. So it allows me to reinvest back into the business, which means more advertising, more marketing, more clients, and it just has this huge flow-on effect as well.
Yeah.
I also hate money. It's such a thing that we pretty much live and die by. It's got so many, like I said before, restrictions on the way that you live your life and the way that some people are very judgmental on other people who either do or don't have money as well. And I really don't like that, but that's my kind of feelings about it. So I'm in a love-hate relationship.
Love-hate relationship. I think that's a good answer.
Yeah.
And that experience you said of some people judge you for what you have and other people judge you for what you don't have.
Yeah.
What's been your experience there? Do you find that if you've grown up with money, people that have maybe been wealthy, their family's been wealthy and they've inherited that kind of money, they they act differently to people who have worked their ass off and made their money themselves?
I think it really depends on the individual person. So you can get, and I've experienced this myself with different friends and family members and stuff. You can have people who come from money, but who understand the value of money and understand what it takes to earn that dollar or to have, the nice car or the roof over their head.
Yeah.
Then in the same instant, you can have people who have come from the same situation and just take so much for granted and everything that they have. And then you've got the people who have had to work for every single dollar, who will appreciate it a lot more, but are also a lot less tolerant of the people who do have money, if that makes sense.
That's interesting.
Because I guess it's a jealousy thing. They've had to go through so much to get to where they are, and here's some people walking down the street who just got handed it in a check for whatever. And that can be hard for some people to really deal with. But I think it depends on everyone's individual mindsets as to how they handle it. We can only have what we have. We just have to make do with it. And I think as long as we learn to manage our own money and be grateful and happy for what we have, then there's no reason why you can't be the same as the person who has a lot of money and the person who has nothing.
And your experience in terms of talking about money with family and friends, has it always been a taboo subject in your family, or has it been
not a taboo subject as such? My family, like my immediate family, we're all pretty, I don't know what's the way to describe it. We all kind of understand that we all have our own individual lives and that we're all never going to be, some of us make more money than others. Some of us are struggling. Some of us are, but we all just get that. And we don't really, we never use it in an argument or anything like that. You have this and you've got this and I don't have any of that. It's just not like that. We're very accepting of each other and everyone's individual circumstances. I've had friends who are no longer friends anymore because of the same reason. They have had too much money and couldn't deal with, for example, me going, I can't go and do that. It's not in my budget this week, or, and then it becomes a bit of a sticky point and a really awkward part of life. But then in saying that, I've got other friends who are in the same situation and I love them like family. So I think it really comes down to a personality and a character trait as to how people deal with it.
And do you think it's still a taboo subject in today's society, or do you think it's becoming more?
Again, I think it depends on the people and the people that you're talking to about it. I think there's a lot of people hide, how much money they make. I think that's still quite taboo because it sets off all kinds of jealousy and self-worth issues.
Sure.
As well. But I think with friends and family, it's a lot more acceptable to talk about those kind of things. There's more unconditional love. Yeah. And I think after a while, you kind of get to know who you can and can't talk to about it. And then because of that, people have different priorities in life. Some people, that's what they want. They want money so that they can have the freedom to go out and do all these things that cost a lot of money, whereas other people are just happy to have a roof over their head and food on the table every day, and they're just happy. Like two totally different lifestyles, and people are just as happy. So I think it just again comes down to what you want out of life.
Well, I think it was something interesting you said before was you're earning this money and then you're reinvesting it back into the business, so then it, because if you do that, it'll grow, which hopefully you'll have more later on down the road. Whereas some people have the complete opposite mindset, whereas as soon as I earn it, I want to take it and buy the car or buy those new clothes or go on that holiday. So it's quite interesting. I find that side, and just obviously it's probably just an education thing.
And I think a lot of people struggle to see the investment of putting money back into the business. Like it is hard to do, don't get me wrong. It's worth the time, and obviously I'm a massive budgeting person as well, so I know how much money I need to do certain things, and because I know where I want my business to be at different stages, I know how much money I need to invest to kind of get it there.
Excellent. So working with other small business owners, what impact do you see from the cash flow and the money side of things having?
Cash flow is huge. So there's that saying that, as I wrote it down, revenue is vanity, profit is sanity, and cash flow is king. And it's such a true thing, you know. Again, a lot of it comes down to budgeting, people just getting caught short. And I see it in well-established businesses as well. Cash flow can just catch you out at a moment's notice. So a lot of people, I got taught probably a year ago that every business should have 13 weeks of income saved in a bank account just to get them through tricky situations. You know, 13 weeks is kind of your cliffhanger.
Sure.
But a lot of people and people I've spoken to just can't see the value in that. They see all this money sitting in the bank account, and like I said before, they either want to take it out so that they can go and spend it on something for their personal use, or they might, instead of investing the money into that separate bank account, they'll be using it because, you know, they might need new tools or something like that. And instead of waiting until they've actually, or budgeting for that separately, they just, they can't see it. So when they do start to have cash flow problems, there's nothing there. There's no reserves. It's insane the effect it can have. And because, you know, money is such a big thing and financial is such a big thing and can put a lot of stress on people.
Definitely.
You know, individuals, and then it falls into relationships and family and friends, and it just spreads like wildfire.
It's a dangerous cycle to get into.
Yeah, it really is. And it's heartbreaking to watch people go through it.
Yeah. And obviously dealing with small business owners, that kind of adds another layer on top of the issue where you've got personal finances, then you've got the business finances. And when you're a sole trader or a small business owner, there's such a blurred line between where does it start and where does it stop. I'm sure that just adds other issues on top of it.
So that's where budgeting really falls into line. Self-control becomes a big part of it as well. And really, instead of seeing yourself as a sole trader, seeing it as two separate entities. There's you and there's the business. There, you've got to get rid of that blurry line. I
think that's probably the best way I've seen it, where it's someone else's bank account. It's not yours. It's the business's bank account. And if every time you take money from there that you shouldn't, then you're stealing from someone else.
Yep. Back when, so my virtual assistant, the admin hub, I was running it as a sole trader. And I started off like that with this massive blurred line. It was all the same bank account. Money was coming in and going out, and it was great. I learned very, very quickly to have a separate bank account. And the same thing, money would go into the business and I would pay myself a wage. Yeah. Never any more, never any less. And it takes a lot of dedication and a lot of resistance.
But I think that comes down to having those goals in mind. And I think what you've said before, having a goal setting as a separate module, that to me is the biggest piece of the puzzle. If you're clear on your goals and you understand where you're heading, then all those other things kind of fall into place.
Definitely. And it's breaking them down as well. So, you know, I have 20 life goals, but then each one has little goals underneath it. So I actually feel like I'm making progress. You know, it might not be every day, but generally every week I'm doing something to help get me that little bit closer. So I feel like I am kind of winning, even if I haven't got to my goals yet, and I might not get to them till I'm 40 or 50 years old. Yeah. But I'm still getting there. And like I've said to people, it's so satisfying. And I don't know if it's just me, but like being able to cross something off.
Well, so I've even heard of people, they complete a task or they complete something, they write it down, and then they cross it off just so they can cross it off.
I have it set up on my phone so I can push the little button and it goes ding. It's so satisfying.
A little endorphin hit when you've reached your goal.
Yes, it really is. The silly things. But see, people have to find what works for them. So I'm also, you know, I set myself KPIs every week as well. So the stuff I need to achieve. If I don't get it done, I punish myself for that.
Yeah.
Because otherwise I'm always going to be making excuses. There's always going to be something that comes up to stop me from doing what I want to do. So if I know I have to pay someone some money or something that really hurts, it is enough to kind of keep me motivated and keep me going.
Excellent. I like that.
Yeah.
So on that business topic, what's the best piece of business advice that you've ever received and or given to someone?
Definitely goal setting.
Yep.
So just being very, very clear on what it is you do, 2, who you're targeting it to, and 3, where you want it to go. I'd love to be able to pass it on to my daughter. If she decides that it's not her cup of tea, I'd love to be able to sell it. So that's my end goal.
Yeah.
For me to do that, because coaching's such a personalized thing, you know, all my knowledge is up here.
Yeah.
So I have to take my own piece of advice and have a very, very systemized business so that someone else can just come in and kind of take it over.
Yeah.
But yeah, that's definitely, that's the main thing I tell people is work out what it is you want and how you're going to get there.
Excellent.
And stick to it.
Stick to it. That's
and then one more is work out what your why is. So what is driving you in business? Because shit's going to get tough and it gets really bad. And if you don't have something to fall back on to push you through and to keep you motivated, it's very easy, like I said before, to start making excuses and to just let things drop off. So got to have a force behind you as to why you're doing what you're doing.
How many strange looks or silent F off have you got from business owners when you've asked them that question? What is your why?
A lot of them either go, I don't know.
Yeah.
Family is a huge one. They want to be able to provide for their family and for their children.
Yeah.
I have got a lot of F-offs. But then when I sit down and talk to them about it, they actually kind of realize that they do have a why. They just didn't know.
Yeah. I think that's probably the biggest challenge is they have got this kind of deeper thing that's going on.
Yeah.
But they can't articulate it, or they've never had anyone kind of talk to them about it.
Yeah.
The fairy feelings and obviously when you deal with males and especially tradesmen, they don't want to talk about their feelings and why they want to do something.
No. But it's interesting because once you get into it and they open up, it's amazing like why these people do the things that they do. And for a lot of them, it is they used to be on the tools working for other people and they've had really bad experiences, so very bad bosses and, unguaranteed pay or promises and things that just don't lead through. So they kind of do what I did and went, why not do it ourselves and do it better?
Yeah.
And that kind of is what gets them started, and they just pretty much stumble from there. Like it works, but it doesn't really work. Yeah.
I think it's always interesting talking to people in that position where they've gone out and started their own thing because they didn't like the way their boss did it, or they'd gone through a bad company, and they tried on their own and they get a little bit of an understanding of, oh, actually, maybe my boss wasn't so bad.
Yeah.
Now I understand why he treated me like the way he did, or why he was struggling, or why he was always angry all the time.
Yeah, exactly. It's like they're opened up to this whole other world. You know, they suddenly get cash flow issues and they can, they understand a little bit more. You do get the people that are very set in their ways and incredibly stubborn, and I'm a very stubborn person myself. So once I know what I want and, come hell or high water, I'm going to have it.
Yeah.
But it's interesting trying to, they're not the easiest people to coach because they're very reluctant to take things on and take on the advice. So it's really just breaking it down into a language that they understand, or putting it into scenarios like being on the hamster wheel and just continuously turning. And I'm like, when was the last time you got off?
Yeah.
And they're like, and all of a sudden you can just see everything starts to tick over. And it's just trying to find that little breakthrough.
Yeah.
So people can get their clarity.
I'm sure that's probably the most rewarding part, where you see someone have that light bulb moment, or they get that clarity and that stress kind of is taken off their shoulders just for a little bit.
Yeah. And then all the questions change. Like it goes from being my employee does this and they do this, and it becomes from very much a blame game as to then they suddenly go, well, actually, I'm kind of at fault here. Like I need to change myself. So, money is a huge, huge issue with small businesses. So trying to talk people around that and get them to, so it gobsmacks me. But the amount of people you say to them, how much profit did you make on a job?
Yeah.
And they've just got no idea. I'm like, well, are you actually making any money?
Yeah.
Just very, very simple questions, nothing, no financial terms or anything like that. And they're like, we actually don't know. I'm like, so you don't even know if you're going backwards? And they're like, no. That's scary. Like that's really, really scary. Yeah.
And I think that's probably the hardest thing to try and to overcome, is because obviously the financial knowledge that almost everyone has is minimal.
Yeah.
And then you add the extra layer of complexity to be, all right, now you're a business owner, and then you don't know any different. So you just always do what you've always done. And if someone says, well, I've always just charged $40 an hour to do that job, so then they just charge $40 an hour to do the job for the rest of their life.
Yeah.
And it's like, well, no, it costs you.
Everything else is creeping up slowly and their rates staying the same. Something's going to go wrong. Yeah.
Very interesting topic.
Yeah. It causes a lot of interesting, frustrating conversations.
Yeah.
But really good ones when you can kind of break things down. And like you said before, not everyone has hardly anyone has a really strong financial background. And being able to go, okay, well, can you go get this report from your accountant, and we'll sit down, and I'll actually sit down with you and explain what all these different things are and how this affects you.
Yeah.
And when you start to put it in terms of their own business, and they can, they instantly, like, they're almost picking up areas that need to be looked at. It makes me wonder how people can go on for so long and still be functioning.
Yeah.
Very stressfully functioning, but yeah. It's interesting.
And do you find that when you talk to people about money, especially obviously in the small business sense, there's that denial, or there's an embarrassment, or that, like, what do you think that is in most people when the topic of money comes out?
Fear of failure, admitting that they've done something wrong as well. A lot of people don't like to be wrong. They like to think they know it all and they've got it all under control. Looking at your financial records and kind of realizing that where you are is as a direct result of everything you've done, it instantly puts blame on yourself. And a lot of people can't deal with that. They can't go, I got myself into this situation.
Yeah.
So it's admitting that they've stuffed up, and people can't handle that. It is.
Do you find they usually just put it in the too hard basket, and then it's just compounds and
they kind of shy away from it.
Yeah.
They don't want to admit it. And so there's a couple of situations there. They don't want to admit it. They don't know how to get help to fix it, or where to turn to other than their accountant. And a lot of people don't like speaking to accountants because it's all very technical and they charge you a crap load of money every hour, so no one likes to go there. Or you do get the odd people who are very, like, I have come across a couple and they're very upfront about it. Like, they'll instantly tell me what they're turning over every year, and they'll be like, we want to do this and we want to do that, but our profit's only this. And then you get some people who you speak to and they don't like to talk about it. So I believe personally that it's because the way that they think their business is reflecting on them, or they're reflecting on their business, either or.
Yeah, that's interesting.
Yeah, so, failure and admitting that you've done something wrong, no one likes to do it. I mean, even as kids, we hate admitting that we've broken something, or, because you get reprimanded for it. And as a business owner, it's even hard because it's harder to admit and accept to yourself that you've done something wrong than admit it to someone else.
Yeah.
So trying to get through that mindset for a lot of people, especially males, like we said before, can be really interesting.
And how do you enjoy playing the devil's advocate? So I'm sure you sit in that corner a lot of the time.
Yeah, I say to people when I'm very upfront from the start, I say to them, I need, for this to work, I have to be honest with you. If you want, you can tell me to F off. That's fine. But I'm going to tell you things you may not necessarily want to hear, but you need to hear them.
Yeah.
And I warn people that straight off the bat. Even when I do, I offer every now and again, I'll do like a free coaching session to someone, and I'll say to them as soon as we get on the phone, I'm probably going to tell you things you don't want to hear. Or people will say, oh, I go to my friends and family for that. I'm like, okay, well, your friends and family are always going to have you back. They're always going to tell you what you want to hear. I'm not. I'm just going to tell you how it is. I'm going to tell you how I see it. It's actually taken a lot of self-growth to do that as well, because I don't like bringing people down. Like, I'm more of an encouragement person.
Sure.
But I have to do it, and people accept it. They know, I'm only trying to help them in the long term as well. And once, you can kind of identify that stuff, it gives you some things and starting places to start working on. And everyone's different because, every personality is a little bit different as well. You get the people who are very open to getting help, and they're very open to being coached, and they just want to take on everything you can possibly tell them. And then, like I said before, you get people who are very shut off because they feel like you're coming in and trying to take over their business and tell them everything that they've been doing wrong for the last 5 years. Where, everyone should be congratulated on taking the step to do their own business in the first place. It's learning to accept that we're really good at what we're really good at, and we're really bad at what we're really bad at. And I'm exactly the same. I have areas that I'm really good at and things that I suck at. Like, don't ask me to paint a wall or fix a car or anything like that. I'm good at what I do, and I get help for the stuff that I'm not. It's exactly the same for business owners. And I think more people need to realize that, and that there is help out there, whether it's financial advisors or coaches or accountants or lawyers. There are people out there. It's an investment, because again, it comes down to money.
Definitely.
It's a cost to get that help, but it's an investment.
Excellent.
Yeah.
Well, thank you very much. I really appreciate it. Very interesting insights into yourself and your business. And where can people go to find more information about either you or ProjectBox?
So you can find me on Facebook if you search for ProjectBox AU, and also on the web at www.projectbox.com.au. If you want some motivation, I'm on Instagram too, ProjectBox AU as well.
Excellent. All right. Well, be sure to jump on there, Facebook and Instagram, and like and subscribe and follow ProjectBox to get some daily videos and daily business tips from yourself.
Definitely, it would be wonderful.
Excellent. All right. Well, thanks very much for being on the show. Appreciate it.
You're welcome. Thank you.
Thanks so much for listening to the episode. If you've enjoyed this episode, please like, share, pass it on, and subscribe to our channel to stay up to date with all of our episodes. Be sure to follow us on Facebook and Instagram, and stay tuned for the next episode.